Hey guys, Nick here from Toad Hall Books and Records. Today we're going to go over the Furutech Disc Flattener DP-2. What it can do to save your vinyl records, what it can't do. We're going to go over the whole thing, so let's kind of get right into it. So this is a for Japanese-made disc flattener DP-2. They've made earlier models. This is the latest model, obviously Japanese-made. I've had it for about 3-4 years. I've flattened hundreds, if not thousands, of records with great success. Not 100%, and I'm going to show you exactly why it's not 100% with this stack of records. So I've got records from heat warps, I got edge warps, I've got pretty much every style of warp you see. I got new vinyl presses, I've got dish warps, I've got record store day records, 180 grams. We're going to go over all of those before and after as it goes through this thing. We're going to show you what it does. So I'm going to kind of turn it on. Obviously the display lights up. I'm going to come over there and move the camera, kind of just give you an overview of this. So yeah, it's a, if you've never seen one before, they're kind of like like a panini press or something. Obviously it's got the different modes. It's got a little digital readout, buttons to set the timer. Let's see if I can get this thing a little bit closer for you. So you can see right now it's set to heat. And it says 2 hours and 29 minutes. Here's just on off. I already set it, so I'm going to turn it off. So yeah, it typically takes 2 hours to start, or 2 hours. Well, you can set it. You can change it from 1 hour 30, 2 hours to 2 hours and 30 minutes. Once it's done, it has a 2-hour cooling mode. You just put the LP right in here. It slowly heats it and obviously slowly cools it. And when you're ready, you just shut it, leave it be, and it does its whole thing, turns it on, heats it up, cools it off very slowly. It does a fantastic job. Obviously, it's a big piece. Here is a regular record. I mean, it's considerably larger than a vinyl record. So just kind of give you some scale. All right, so now we are going to go and we're going to go check out what this thing can do. I'm going to take it over to my turntable and show you what these records look like. And then we're going to show you what they look like afterwards. All right, guys, before we get back over to the turntable, I decided I should probably introduce the different types of warps we got and what records we're talking about today. So I'm going to start off with the hardest one to show, which is a heat warp, which is the most damaging of any of the warps. This one right here, this is a Rolling Stones record. Right through here, it's got some extreme ripples. So we're going to try to get this to show on camera. You can kind of see it there in the shadow a little bit. Obviously, I think we've all seen records like this. It gets a little hot there in this section of the record, and it just ripples up. They're not real extreme. Obviously, it's on both sides. You can see it again right there. But the grooves are damaged. When the heat happens to a record, the grooves, instead of looking shiny and clean, they look a little like fuzzy. If you've ever seen this, you kind of know what I'm talking about. And then if they get too hot, they get that ripple right there, right on that edge right there, right in here. So we're going to try to straighten that out. And a little bit more, this is a first pressing Allman Brothers Fillmore East at Capricorn label. Right through here, it's a real mild, you can see it got hot because of the groove damage, like I explained. They look a little fuzzy, but the record's not really that warped. There's no like humps in it. I can see it's a little bit like maybe dished out towards the edge. I don't know if it's going to show here, but I'm going to show you why these are so hard to fix. And honestly, I don't know if it's fixable. We're going to find out. This one's actually pretty mild. We might have a shot at it. Well, let's give it a shot. I'll show you why these are almost impossible to fix. After that, we're going to show you a Neil Young record that's been in a bin like that for about 30 years. We're going to show some typical warps. I just got this gold member in from Record Store Day. And this is 180 gram Flaming Lips worth of Mystics. These have your more typical warps, and we'll talk about those. I have a dished record, the Mordecai, one of my favorite records from this year. And then I got two warps that I call all over the place, where they just... So we're going to go over all these different types of warps, show you before, show you after, and show you how they all work. Hey guys, this is our Rolling Stones Sucking in the 70s before the Heat Damage record. So as you can see, it's really not that warped. There isn't really that big of a lump in it, but the biggest issue you have with warped records is tracking. What happens is they get warped, the vinyl wants to pull in towards the center, and then your tone arm will no longer track it right. It'll jump. And I'm going to demonstrate that with the next record, the Allman Brothers. Alright guys, we are here for our first after video, and we're looking at the Rolling Stones. Now as you remember, this one has the ripples in it, and the record's relatively flat. I should note this is one time through the flattener. This record really didn't improve flattening wise, but I'm going to show you why it just doesn't work. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody's turntable, but I'm sacrificing mine here for the good of the people. Look at that head shell bounce, guys. That is why you cannot fix warped records, because those grooves are no longer straight. And as much as I'd love to save this record, those outside songs are no good. If you want to keep it for the inner tracks, maybe it's worth hanging on to. But as a sellable record for me in my shop, this would not be a sellable record for me. So that one, Heat Damage record, that one is a fail. We're going to go to the next one, the next Heat Damage, see how it went. All right, guys, this is our Allman Brothers record that was heat damaged. I'm lowering it down now. Remember, watch that head shell. Look at that thing jump. That is because the spot that got heat damaged has pulled inward on the record, meaning those grooves are no longer in a circle. They jump inward, and that head shell's trying to track it. Now, I can't play the audio, but I can tell you it's skipping. This record has not moved. It's still on the outer track. This record, I'm going to try to make playable because the jump isn't too bad. I probably can't get that little jump out of the grooves. I can't pull those grooves back into round. What I can do is get this record flat and hope that it improves the play of this record. But I'm going to guess that this one's done. I'm going to do my best, but that little jump, most turntables wouldn't track that, and even mine's really having trouble. All right, back to another heat warped record. This is the after of Allman Brothers Fillmore East. The Flattener, again, this record really wasn't that warped to start with. You can't even tell that it's warped, and it really isn't. It's more of a heat damage issue. So again, we're going to demonstrate what happened with this. It's about the same. It might be a little bit better. I don't know that this record's going to play. It's still got a big jump in it. You know, before it was skipping. I'm going to say that it might, man, it has improved. The head shell isn't moving the way it used to. It's more subtle, but that's probably as good as it's going to get. This might be playable. But like I said, this is about as minor of heat damage as you can find. Just a little bit of section. This one we might be able to get away with. This one, obviously, it's not perfect. It's improved. And sometimes that's all you can do. So this one's not bad. In conclusion, I'm actually impressed that it helped out this much. That head shell isn't moving as much as it was. So I'm going to say neutral on this one. I'm going to say I helped a little, but I still don't think the record is You know, in my store, I wouldn't be able to sell this as a, you know, as a fine record. It would be a lower grade. I would have to mention that it has heat damage. I'd have to mention that it has a warp in it. So I didn't fix the record. I improved it, but it's not to the point where it's a sellable record in my eyes. So I'm going to still say fail, but I'm impressed with the what we did with it. It's better. So, all right, on to the next. All right, now that we got the heat war records done, we're going to move over to something that a lot of people run into. Records that have been sitting in a crate crooked or on your shelf crooked for many, many years. They get the most extreme, crazy potato chip warps. Let's see how those go. All right, now this one is the most extreme out of them all. This is a vintage Neil Young record that's been in a crate for 30 years. Just a big old potato chip warp in it. And if you flip it over, let's flip it over here. I don't think it gets any better. It's just the other way. Record's perfect. Test jacket's pretty nice. Someone just left it in the bin too long. So let's see what we can do with this thing. All right, this is the most drastic record we had in our test. Look at the difference of this one. You can still see it's got a little warp in it. It's not perfect, but man, it's playable now. I mean, it went from garbage record to I could actually play this now, which is pretty amazing. I mean, this thing was really bad. I'm actually going to put this in for a second try and see if I can get it better. I should note that Furutech does not recommend warming records, flattening records more than once. I have done it over the years with pretty good results. I've never flattened a record too many times and damaged it. They say that it possibly could damage a record. I haven't seen it, but in a lot of cases, I still got a warped record. It's still not great. If I can get it straight and have a record that'll play, it's better than throwing it away. So a lot of instances, you know, I just roll the dice. I'd rather roll the dice than throw it away. So big success. This one's huge. I've been doing this for years, and even I'm astounded at how well this one came out. So this was a huge success. I'm going to flip it over, see what it's like on the other side. Still got a little warp. Man, look at that side. That is, it's because it's got a little dish in it now, and it's come down. That side is like totally flat. Look at that head shell. I bet that head shell's nice and straight too. I bet it doesn't have anything going on in it. Let's take a look at this angle. Look at that, guys. That record was a potato chip. And now look at it. It's totally playable. I'm going to try to improve it. This is going to be the only one in the test that I'm going to run twice. We're going to give it another shot. Let's see what happens. All right, guys. This is the Neil Young after the second time going through the straightener. And would you look at that thing? If I would have told you I would get that record flat, you wouldn't have believed me. Look at how straight that record is. It's perfect. There are no groove damages. I'm going to put the head shell down on this thing. It looks, the head shell isn't moving. Let's move it over here so you can see the head shell. I mean, that is like a normal record. You would never know that that thing sat in a box for 40 years, became a potato chip, and became a second life again of being a Neil Young record again. Great success. Obviously, this one here is unbelievable. I will say that there is some little bit of wobble on the other side, maybe. I mean, obviously this record's playing fine. I'm going to flip it over and see what it looks like. Does it have a little bit of a cuss? It's got a hair of a warp in it. Just a real hair, you can see it. But again, this record is totally playable. From what it started from to what it is now, it's like magic. Look at that. Head shell's nice and straight. tracking nice. We got a playable record here, guys. Great success. All right, so that's what we did with our vintage. Now we're heading over to what typically happens when you buy a new record and you say it's warped. These are now the most common warps we see. For that, I have a, at this point, vintage copy, 2LP of Flaming Lips at War with the Mystics, and a brand new, probably 140 gram colored vinyl, Austin Powers Gold member that came out for Record Store Day 2020, drop 3. So we're gonna see how these come out, how this machine can handle your most standard typical warps. On to some of the more typical warps that we see. This is my Austin Powers Record Store Day record. And I see these warps all the time. These are among the most common. As you see, they kind of lump up and then they're flat. And if you flip this record over, it's flat. So this is obviously very, very common. So we're gonna see what we can do with this. All right, we are on our Austin Powers after video, and look at how flat that record is. That thing came out beautifully. I should note this is a 2020 press, colored vinyl, very nice. We're gonna flip it over, see how this side looks. This side has a little wiggle left. It's not as crazy as it was. I'm still going to say success because this thing was all over the place, and it's clearly very playable now. It was playable before. This thing is well within range now. So yeah, another great success. Like I said, it's going to track fine. Record looks fine. Everything looks great on it. I'm very happy with this one. Just like the Austin Powers, this is my Flaming Lips record. Again, a very typical warp. These are obviously the most common warps. This is a 180 gram record. We're looking again right here. You can see it lifts up and comes right back down. About half of the record is flat. The other half has a little dish in it. Record probably plays fine. There isn't an issue. But I'm just doing this for demonstration to see what we can get out of this thing. Onto our 180 gram Flaming Lips record one time through. And again, huge success. There was a little lump, you know, the standard where the one side comes up. Man, this thing is pretty dang straight. It's still got just a hair. I mean, I almost can't see it. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. Just a real minor hair. But it's almost indistinguishable. This is another great success here. Let's look at this side. This side is straight as an arrow. So yeah, another fantastic success. I'm not going to say perfect, because I mean, really no record's ever perfect. But I mean, we're talking 90% better. Yeah, I mean, it just comes up just a hair. So yeah, another big success on the Flaming Lips 180 gram. All right, next up, we have the dished record. You know, that one you got in your collection. It's like a bowl on one side and like a hump on the other. For this, we're using my Khruangbin Mordecai. This is probably one of my favorite records from 2020. I have the indie exclusive version here on pink vinyl. We're going to go over how this machine can do its magic and get this straightened out. All right, for our dished record, we have Khruangbin Mordecai pink vinyl. As you can tell, if you look right here at the platter, this is a dished record. It almost never lays flat on my platter. However, if we flip this record over, let's flip this record over, I can feel that it's dished. I can feel that it's bowed. Now look at it. Not really a problem. It's touching right here almost the whole time. Not bad. So again, this record is dished up. then that record is all the way down. And look at that. It almost never, it keeps apart from almost the whole time. Obviously, there are more extreme examples, but this is the one that I've got, and it's definitely dished one way. So let's see what we can do with that. All right, we are on to our Khruangbin pink vinyl. This was the dished record. So we have the dished record. Obviously, look at that dish. It is gone. Let's take a look. Let's flip this record over. It's kind of hard to tell which side was dished. I think this was the down side. Let's flip it up. This would have been the up side of the dish. It's pretty much gone. I mean, that dish is very much more subtle. One thing I did notice playing this record is it does have a little bit of jump in it. Now, this could have been due to the straightening process. The head shell's got a little jump in it. It still plays fine. So I'm going to still call this a success. And you can see there's just a hair of a dish. Still way better than it was. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one. This one came out really good. So I'm pretty happy with that one. I think we're going to call that a success as well. The second most popular warp that we see come in is the all over the place. The record's just all the way across. Hard to explain unless you see it. For that, we're going to use my Record Store Day version of Devo's first record, Are We Not Men, on limited edition yellow vinyl. Not too bad. I'm a huge Devo fan, so I'm excited to have this straight. And my autographed copy of President of the United States' first record, also on colored vinyl. So check them out. The warp's kind of wild. Hopefully we can get this thing straightened out with this Furutech. All right, guys, here is my second all over the place warped record. As you can tell, looking right at the record's edge, you can see it moving up and down very frequently, not just one lump. It's kind of all over the place. I've seen many new vinyl records look like this, along with my Devo. This is the first President's record. These are my befores, and then we're going to take a look at the afters here in a minute. All right, we got another big success here for you. This is the President's after video, and look at that record. It's perfect. It's straight as an arrow. This one did come out absolutely perfect. It's probably because it's more standard weight. It's not 180 gram, so it's a little bit easier for that heat to get that thing perfectly straight in time. 180 gram, there's a lot more mass there, a little harder for it to penetrate and warm it up in the time it has. Look at this side, straight as an arrow. This thing was wiggling all over the place. This thing turned out absolutely perfect. Like I said, it was playable before, but this thing's perfect. So another big success. All right, guys, here is our Devo record before. As you can see, we're looking right here of the record, and we can tell that it just kind of jumps all over the place. See if I can get it down just a little bit more. You can see it kind of is wavy. It's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like the motion of the ocean there. So that's what I would like to call an all over the place warp. I've got another one I'm going to show you and we'll do a before and after. All right, guys, unfortunately, this one is going to be our biggest flop. This is my Devo, Are We Not Men? Came out of my Devo box set. Although the record is flat now, it has deformed the record. I'm going to bring this up here to show you what kind of happened. I've seen this happen a couple other times with colored vinyl. Look at that head style jump and see how there's like a lump in the vinyl? It's no longer round. Now, this can happen with colored vinyl. Like I said, it's not very common. I've seen it happen a couple times over the couple decades. This vinyl compound did not like the reheating process, and this record, unfortunately, is not very playable anymore. Pretty disappointed because this was my own personal copy, and I should have maybe been a little more careful with it. So pretty disappointed in this one. I kind of ruined this record. But on the other side, my Presidency of the United States record turned out great. So colored vinyl, beware. Black vinyl, never have any issues. But colored vinyl, because they are all different compounds, they're all different heats, they're all different product. On a rare occasion, like I said, over the years I've been doing this, is probably the second one that's happened to this too. On rare occasions, this does happen. So my loss is your gain, guys. All right, in conclusion, we're going to go through everything and how they went. So obviously, our Rolling Stone Sucking in the 70s had the ripples. Record really didn't improve. It was already flat. We couldn't improve this one. This one's basically garbage. But it was garbage before, so I didn't lose anything out. The inner tracks are still very playable. If you find this in a dollar bin and you want to just listen to a few tracks, that might be worth $1. But just know that there's no fixing those ripples. On this one, on the Allman Brothers, we had some success. We got it flattened out. It wasn't perfect, but it was a heat damage. So heat damage is always the worst. You can't hardly ever get those out. So we got it flatter. I feel like that head shell didn't move as much. I think it's playable now, which is pretty impressive. I know I called it a fail earlier. I'm going to say it's a mixed bag. I think he's going to be able to play this record. He's going to be happy with it. And we did everything we could. It didn't get worse, so that's worth a shot. On to the huge success. I mean, this thing was a potato chip. This thing was looking awful. And we got this thing straight. So that was a big success. Again, I didn't have anything to lose. The thing was warped beyond belief, and I turned it into a playable record that anybody would be happy to have. So big success. The 180 gram Flaming Lips record had that typical little edge warp, the one lump as it goes around. Another big success. It wasn't perfect, didn't come out, but it's 80-90% better, and that's a big deal. So another big success. Probably our one fail this week is the Devo record, because it's on that yellow vinyl. Unfortunately, there are so many different vinyl compounds when you get into colored vinyl that some of them don't react. They react differently to heat. This is obviously something very rare that happens. It's only happened to me a few times. But I should note that it only happens to colored, and only sometimes. The rest of my colored records are fine. Most of them are perfectly straight now. So this, I will say that I cooked all of these at the same, the machine cooks them all at the same temperature. I all went 2.5 hours, which is the max time allotted. Had I gone a little shorter on the time, maybe it would have been a little bit less subtle, but I don't think so. I think this would have been the reaction no matter what. So unfortunately, this is a fail because this record's not really playable anymore. But like I said, I've only ever had this issue a few times, and with colored vinyl. I mean, enough to stick my colored records in it. So I have faith in the machine that this is just a kind of a one-off deal. Unfortunately, life's not perfect, and sometimes that stuff happens. A gold member record, colored vinyl, 2020 press, came out great. It was, all over the place, and now we got it pretty straight. I wouldn't say it's perfect. Man, it's 80-90% of the way there. So I'm really happy with how that came out. Another colored vinyl. This is a splatter, another 2020 press. This thing had a big old warp in it all over the place. This thing is straight as an arrow and it has 0 damage. This thing is perfect now. Don't ask me why. Some come out good and some don't. Just different vinyl compounds. And just bad luck of the draw on that one. And the crumb bin colored vinyl, the see-through Mordecai. Got that dish out. Head show wiggles a little bit. I'm still going to call this a success. It's still a very playable record. There's not damage like on the other one. I'm happy with it. This dish is looking good. I will also note that I have tried picture records in the past. And you put them in, you put it on the third time, and basically nothing happens. Because they're a completely different manufacturing process for those, the warps just don't come out. They don't. No success. Again, black vinyl, never had an issue. Super vinyl, 180 gram, always works great. Colored vinyl, on a weird, rare instance, you get a weird warping issue going on. If you have some black vinyl, you have some records you want to get flattened, some maybe giant potato chip warps that have no chance of being played, I'm going to put a link in my bio. You can head over to our website. We have a service where we do this for you. If you like videos on records and record store day and crazy amounts of records, like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Helps our store out, and help me buy a new Devo record, which I'm going to get today from our store. So thanks so much, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. All right, guys, I got a quick little update for you. I flattened a few super vinyls. This is a Bob Dylan Desire super vinyl. And on the table, I've got a one-step Bob Dylan Blood on the Tracks that I have flattened. These looked roughly like the average warps, the two I had earlier, like the Flaming Lips. They had kind of a rim lip where they lifted up. Oh, I gotta turn the audio off. And they turned out great. Let me get this camera right down here. They turned out perfectly flat. Look at that. There is no wiggle. There's no hump. There's no distortion. There's nothing. This record turned out perfect. So I am going to confirm that Super Vinyl and Mobile Fidelity records can be flattened with great success.